So today I'm actually here with my buddy Joey from True Prep, and Joey and I are today going to be working on something that's long overdue, which is installing a new grounding harness on his 1123. And step number one, which is the most important step, is going to be to disconnect the battery so we don't have any shortages or anything of that nature. We highly recommend everybody checks their grounding harness and probably most likely install a brand new one, because more than likely that is a culprit for a lot of your electrical issues.
All right, we're going to start with the main ground here. It may look a little bit different on some of the 998s. This is 1123. I know some of them don't have this plate here, so you may just have a bolt here, but you know, all of these are essentially your grounds. We're going to go with this ground here, and you want to first start by just removing that ground. If you notice, this is kind of why we do this. These things sit for so long, you'll see corrosion. This is all aluminum on aluminum in most cases, and you know, your corrosion, I mean, this is what you're dealing with, and it causes electrical problems with, like Ruben said, and all sorts of different ways, from your starting to your gauges and instruments to pretty much anything that could depend on power. So some people may elect to just try to clean these off, but I'd rather, you know, in this case we're going to add a supplemental ground and go ahead and clean it, but we're going to supplement it with a nicer ground than what came with it. It's going to be pure copper, and it hopefully will eliminate any future grounding issues. We'll start, I usually use an angle iron, or you could use anything that's abrasive to try to clean off some of the paint and rust. And you're going to have a main ground. It's going to look something like this. This is going to be your main point for all of your electrical connections to be coming off of that. So in this case, we'll go right through the old terminals, add the old one in there. And I'll leave this loose for now. Sanding block like this. Just clean off all the corrosion on there so you'll get a good contact. Yeah, you can see a huge difference just in there between the old one and the new.
As previously mentioned, this is actually an 1123, and what you see right here is the heating duct that's going across from the heater down to the panel over here. On your 998s, you won't have this here, so you'll have more clearance and more room to go ahead and clean off the corrosion. We unfortunately don't have the luxury, so we're going to do our best to try to take off any of the corrosions possible first before rehooking it back up.
So easy, a kid could do it.
There you go. Now put this on there. Put this back on there. Screw it back on.
Done.
All right, so here we are looking at what I probably consider the most difficult ground to get to, and it's just because it's underneath your Humvee and you're having to route the wire to it. You've got this, this is on your starter. So to get to your starter, you see this coil hill. This coil is used to keep hot parts of the exhaust and your engine from touching any of the wires and burning through the insulation on the wires. So you want to make sure that you route through that coil. The easiest way to do that is to actually compress the coil, push it through it, and then once you get it where you need to, then you can spread the coil back out to provide that thermal protection. Then you're going to use this stud right here on the bottom of your starter. I've already taken off the sealant and removed the bolt holding these on. Now we're going to clean these up with some sandpaper and then put the new copper additional ground on top of that, and then we should be good. All right, so now we've got that cleaned up. We've got the new ground here going to the starter ground post right here. One thing I will make sure to mention is that don't try to force this off. It will snap off this stud if you try to force it. So if it's rusted on, get some heat, get some lubricant, put it on there, some oil, some penetrating oil, let it sit for a while. Don't try to force it because you don't want to have to deal with a broken stud here. Then you have to remove the alternator, and that just makes for a bad day. Anyway, so we're going to go back up, and I think we're done here with the starter.
So to close this off, we're going to go ahead and tighten up the main ground. And once we've tightened that up and finished it, we're going to go ahead and reconnect the batteries, and we're going to give it a test run.